Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Lily Reads. We are in our last week of September. Can you believe it? We are in the last week of September. And if you guys know, I did a video talking about all the books I wanted to read in September. Well, this is the last week and I have not finished all of those books. So we're going to go through the books I have left in that video that I haven't gotten to. And we are going to choose which books we are going to read. I'm not going to be able to read all of them because I have a lot to do this week. I am going out of town. I am going to see Alabama play Georgia. So there's a lot going on, and so I won't be able to get to all of these books, but I can get to some of them, and some is better than none. I'm not making any promises on any of these books, but we'll just go through. So the first book I have here is House of Hollow. I'm gonna be honest with you, this will probably be the easiest book to read because it's short, but it's also the book I want to read the least. So I'm going to put this on the probably not going to get to it. The next book we have is She is a Haunting, if I can get it up. She is a Haunting. I think I am going to read this book. I told you guys in my TBR video that this is a book I really wanted to get to. And leading into October, I feel like this is the perfect, last day of September type of read. Maybe I'll read it all in one day or something. That'll be fun. The next book we have is The Woman in the Library. I want to read this book simply because it's a book that I purchased with excitement, and I've heard mixed reviews on it, so I want to know what this book is about and what is going on. So we are going to read this, I know for a fact. Now we have Someone Knows. This is a book that for some reason I can't let go of. I hate the fact that this lady's picture is on the back. The cover on the front is bad. The title, this is just really mom suspense type of book. And that's not really my thing all the time, but it also can be my thing. So I want to read this book, and if I get to it, that'll be great. So I'm going to put it in the maybes. This is a maybe. The next we have to choose between two Gilly Macmillan books. We have The Perfect Girl and To Tell You the Truth. I believe when I was doing my TBR video, I had more interest in this than I did this one. So I am going, because I have two and I've never read anything from this author, I'm definitely going to prioritize reading one of these two. And I think To Tell You the Truth is the one I'm going to go ahead and prioritize because this one just had some things, some thriller tropes that really weren't my speed. I'm still interested in reading it, but so if I were to get to it, I would, but I would rather do this one more. And so the last book is You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I have liked one book from this duo. My partner read another book, The Golden Couple or something like that from this, and he thought that was good enough. And I did not like An Anonymous Girl from this author, but I want to see, I feel like they should be for me. They should be for me. I should enjoy them. So I am going to read this book as well. And so that pretty much summed up our TBR. If I have time, I will get to these. These are if I have time, I would like to get to these, but we only literally have a week, so I don't know about that. House of Hollow, probably not going to get to it. So I feel good with saying that of that TBR video, where I had 18 books in the TBR, I'm only going to not read 3, I think, unless I can fit these in somewhere. I'm only going to not read 3. That is not bad because I already knew I was biting off a lot. And so the 4 books that we are going to read are these 4. Let's go ahead and just start with The Woman in the Library because I'm the most excited about this book, and because I just don't know if I'm going to even read all 4 of these. I want to get the ones out of the way that I really actually want to read. So The Woman in the Library is going to be first, and then we'll decide from there on out. Okay, peace. Hello, you guys. I'm here to come get initial thoughts on our first book. I'm on page 108 of Woman in the Library, and I wanted to come and give my thoughts just in case they change. So in this book, it is kind of very simple. We are reading a book about a woman writing a book about a book. Like, it's just a whole little thing. So this is the book, and then the book is about a woman who is writing a book, and in there's the story. So like, we're like 3 layers removed from the actual story. So in this book, we have this Australian woman. She has gotten like a fellowship, scholarship type of thing. And so she is going to be writing a novel, and it's going to be her first novel. She wants it to do well, and she is reading in this library. Well, when she is in this library, she is there with like 4 other people, and they hear a scream. Long story short, the person who screams ends up dead. And our main character is trying to figure out who amongst them has committed the murder, because she is telling this story in retrospect. Well, she's telling the story in retrospect. I said this wasn't confusing, but it kind of is, because keep in mind, the story we're reading is this woman writing this story. So that's the furthest story removed from us. But then we have the layer before that, which is this woman who is clearly a famous writer. She has gotten this random person we do not know to look over her manuscript, because she's writing this story about these people in a library, and someone's murdered. So she's writing a locked room mystery, and she wants someone to read the locked room mystery to give her pointer. So we have this famous author. She is sending her manuscript to this guy. Well, this guy named Leo is giving her pointers, because this writer is Australian, and she wants to make sure that her writing translates to America, because the book she's writing about the people in the library takes place in Boston. So Leo is reading it through, making sure that it's American and everything makes sense. So those are our 3 degrees of separation. We have the story that is being written, the fictional story that is being written. We have the woman who is writing the fictional story and sending it over to this guy. Then we have this guy who is reading over it and sending her back notes. So what's going on? How do all of these things connect? We do not know. I explained that poorly, but stay with me. I am enjoying the hell out of this book. This book reminds me of 8 Perfect Murders, where it's just like, it's very tongue-in-cheek, but it's compelling. It's interesting. There's a mystery going on, I am really, really enjoying this book. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know who's telling the truth, who's lying, like what's going on here. This is just... It's the same in the way that I think it falls into the same kind of, type of like suspense novel or mystery novel like 8 Perfect Murders, but it's like different in the way that it's being told. Having this guy giving pointers, having this woman writing a story who we really know nothing about, and then having this actual story that you're reading. Like you're reading a story as you're reading a story at the exact same time. And I think this book to me is a better version of everyone in my family has killed someone. This book wanted to be this. This book, I hate this book. I despise this book. I think this is one of the few books that a lot of people enjoy that I just think is done very, very poorly. But this book to me is doing it well. Now, 8 Perfect Murders, a book that I enjoy, has a lot of naysayers. So I am sure that this book is not for everybody, but it is for me. I love the fact that this book is talking about the pandemic, because I am on maybe the unpopular opinion. We need more stuff about the pandemic. I wish more people wrote books during the pandemic or wrote books about the pandemic. In 30, 40 years, everyone's going to look around and be like, why do we not have firsthand accounts or stories that were written during the pandemic? Because we're going to have a bunch of people in 40 years trying to go back in time and write stories about the pandemic, and we're all going to be like, it wasn't like that, it wasn't like this. But if people were just writing stories about the pandemic, when it happened and to now, we wouldn't have that issue. So I think there needs to be more pandemic stories, or stories that take place during the pandemic or mention the pandemic. I might be sitting on an island alone about that, but y'all be all right. And this book is that. It's just working for me. I'm interested in every single layer. you guys know, maybe you don't know, one of my favorite things in books or thriller mystery is like the cat and mouse game. I love the cat and mouse game, and I love liars. Liars are one of my favorite things in any type of book. People who do not tell the truth. I love it in romance. I love it in thriller. I love it in literary fiction. I love it in every type of book. I love dishonest people in books. And so when you have books like this where you're not sure if everyone's telling the truth, and that's on all three layers. I think the guy writing the manuscript is weird. I think the people in the fictional book, they're all weird and sketchy, and I think the writer's weird and sketchy. Like, everyone's sketchy to me. I am enjoying it. It's my favorite type of dynamic. So I'm coming to say that, like, all of this is just, it's so good. It's just so, so good. So I am going to finish this today, and I will come back with my thoughts, okay? Peace. I'm here to give my final thoughts on The Woman in the Library. As you guys saw in the last clip, made me a smoothie. I'm about to drink it and start on the next book. But let's give final thoughts on The Woman in the Library. I'm going to go ahead and give this book 5 out of 5 stars. There is just something to be said about a book that grips me from the beginning and doesn't let me go till the bitter end. And that was this book. I was interested in all of it. This book had so many things that I enjoy. Like, of course, you have like the murder mystery element, but you also have this idea of this woman writing this story, and you also have this cat and mouse game maybe between this like person writing a manuscript and this person editing a manuscript. There's this air of mystery going on. There feels like kind of this direct to readerness, even though it's not. It just kind of feels that way a little bit. It just worked, you guys. Like, I understand why this book would not be for everyone, but it's for me. And rarely do I read books like this, even though I enjoy books like this. To me, these two are 100% comp titles. 8 Perfect Murders and The Woman in the Library. Gave both of these books 5 stars. This made the list of my best books of last year. I don't know if this one will, but like, they're the same. But I will say, this doesn't always work for me. This type of style doesn't always work for me. I do think there is a level of finesse and craftsmanship that has to be there, and you can't lose sight of the book being like a murder mystery book, you know? And to me, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevens, I think this book just spirals into just like foolishness. And I think the reason why people like this book is because of the style, but I think the style is trying to make up for lack of storytelling, lack of plot, lack of finesse, and lack of any real care or consideration for the like actual premise of the book. I do not like this book. Why do I still own this book? Because next year I kind of want to go back and reread books that I didn't like to see if I have different thoughts on them. I'm not going to do that to every book I dislike, but there's books that other people who I respect, they will like a book, and I will keep it just because maybe I just didn't get it the first time. So I might, go back in this book and see with new eyes, do I like it? But at this current moment, I didn't like anything about this book. I thought this book was cheesy, gimmicky, and had nothing going for itself. And then there's books that kind of straddle the middle, in my opinion, of how I feel about it, that also fall into this type of book. and it's signed here by Claudia Lux. This book also kind of does this thing where like you're kind of breaking the fourth wall. It's like a mystery book or a suspense type of book, but something about it feels a little cheesy intentionally. Something about it is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, a little like nod, nod, wink, wink to the reader. Sign here also has that. I gave this book like a 3.5, 3.75 out of 5 stars. This is definitely a book I'm going to be revisiting next year. And yeah, so it doesn't always work for me. I was trying to show you that it doesn't always work, but these two work for me. This book, like I said, stayed good the entire time. I see why some people like it. I see why some people don't. But I am in the number of liking it. Let's move on to the next book. So I told you I am going to read the next book. And the next book is You Are Not Alone. And so I'm going to read it and we're going to get into it. The reason why I'm trying to get through these books is because I am actually going back to my alma mater this weekend for a football game, and like I know I won't be reading while I'm there, so I'm trying to get as many books in as I can, because you guys know like that was my goal for September, getting through this shelf up here and getting books read. So I'm trying to I'm trying to knock them out. So I'm going to sit with my smoothie and I'm going to read more of You Are Not Alone, and later on tonight, maybe after my shower or something, I will give you guys my initial thoughts on what's going on with that book. But yeah, it's good to have a winter early. It keeps you going. But I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. I am in the car because I had a dentist appointment today and I'm a little worried about my teeth hurting a little bit later. So I need to come and give you this update on You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. So first I'm going to tell you what this book is about, and then we're going to get into my thoughts. So in this book, we are actually following a cast of characters, and if you watch my last vlog, stay with me. We are following a cast of characters. So first things first, this woman is on the subway. She is getting on the subway, and all of a sudden she just sees this woman walk off into the subway, what's that called? The subway cart, the subway tunnel, whatever. She get ran over by a train. She commits suicide and gets ran over by a train. Our main character, the person who we follow the most in this book, she is just like flustered by it, because she's just like, what the hell is going on? Like, why would you do that in front of me? So she's really affected by this, and she starts to try to get to know more about this girl. She gets the name of the woman from the police officers at the scene, and so she basically tries to get to know these women. Then we quickly switch over POV to these people who knew the girl who committed suicide. Apparently she must have been a part of a friend group or something, and they all know something about this girl and why she might have committed suicide that we as the reader know nothing about. Well, we go back to the main character. She decides to go to the funeral of the girl who died because she can't get this girl out of her head, and she's just like, I should go to the funeral. And so she gets information on the funeral because she went to go leave flowers at the girl's apartment, and they had like something up for the funeral. So she goes to the funeral, and our two POVs converge because the women and our main character, they get to chatting at the funeral, and our main character is not really suspicious of these women. She just thinks these were women who were friends to the woman who killed herself, but our group of women is suspicious of our main character because they're wondering, how do you know this girl? What information do you know about her? Are y'all friends? Don't go poking around her life. So it seems like these group of women don't want our main character who saw her kill herself to start poking around her life because she might find stuff she ain't supposed to find. We get a third POV. And this third POV is of the woman who, met her, death. She has a POV and she is going throughout life, and we're getting to know like what her life was like before she decided to end her life. And that's what's going on. Why would this woman want to kill herself? What does this have to do with our main character who was there, and why does she feel so affected by everything going on? And then what's going on with this group of ladies who seem to be a little too intertwined in everybody's life? That's what's going on here. My thoughts on this book: even though this book has a lot going on, I don't hate it the way I didn't like Truth or Dare last time, because I do think there is like a main character. There's a main thing that you're following, and it's this woman who saw this other woman kill herself. Like, that's the main thing, and I can follow that, you know? My issue with this book actually is I don't know what I'm supposed to be interested in. Like, this book feels like a thriller. It feels like a mystery novel or whatever. But, like, what exactly am I supposed to be? Like, what exactly is mysterious? Like, no one seems sketchy. No one seems all that weird. It just feels like I'm reading a story. That's what it feels like. And that's honestly one of my least favorite things in thrillers as well, where it's just like a story about people, just a story about people that could be a thriller, it could be a mystery, but like all together it's kind of just, you know, melancholy and mundane. That is what this book feels a little. It feels a little melancholy, it feels a little mundane. It is easy to read. I like Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen's writing, but unfortunately for me, this book is leaning more Anonymous Girl and less The Wife Between Us. I love The Wife Between Us. Anonymous Girl I did not like, because it felt the exact same way that this book feels, where it's just like we're following these people and these characters, and I know someone's not telling the truth. Something interesting is here, but like, I am a ride type of girl. When it comes to thriller, mystery, and suspense, I am all about the ride. I am all about the journey. You can give me a bad plot twist. You can give me maybe, you know, I don't feel that great towards the ending, but if the ride was fun, 4 or 5 stars. 4 or 5 stars if I enjoyed the ride, because that's what I love the most about thriller novels. That's why I read thriller novels, is because like I like just being immersed in a world of mystery and intrigue. So like, I'm a ride person. So when the ride is dull or I'm not sure what I'm doing here, it kind of takes me out of the book. Will I finish this book? Yes. We are not on DNF alert, but I do need something to happen, and something to happen quickly. So anyways, I already went to my dentist appointment. I'm about to go to the grocery store. Then I'm about to get some Chinese food. And then I'll talk to you guys if I finish the book tonight. I would like to finish this book tonight. So, yeah. Because keep in mind, I did tell you, gotta go to my alma mater for a football game. So I would like to read this book tonight before I have to drive to my alma mater. So yeah, I'm gonna try to finish this book tonight and either give you updates on it tonight or give you updates on it in the morning. That would be perfect. And then we will move on to She Is a Haunting. Hello, you guys. Good morning. My mouth hurts as expected, like I told you guys in the last video, but it doesn't hurt as bad for what they did. They put a bracket on my back tooth, and you know, it hurts like normal, but it's not like crazy. Anyways, I'm here to give a final update on You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, because I did finish this book last night, and I have come to the conclusion I don't think Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen is for me. This is the second book that I've read by this duo of authors that I didn't like. I've read 3 books by this duo, and I like the first one, but I do think it was an anomaly. Like, when I look into like what I liked about The Wife Between Us, I just don't think Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen write books like that anymore. And so to me, their books are starting to feel like Megan Golden books in the vibe that they give me, the feeling that they give me when I read them. Like, characters doing things that don't really make sense, plots being very loose, the world building not really being there. And that pretty much was this book. This book just rests on this idea that this woman is just really desperate for any type of human connection, which a lot of people are. So I could get on board with that. But it's the second issue. The people that she's trying to find connection with don't seem that interesting. So when everything unfolds in this book, you're just like, why were you even attracted to these women to begin with? And also when it comes to the people who are like doing the bad things, I guess their reasons for doing the bad things are really, really loose, not all that interesting. This book just takes a really long time to like get into the plot of the book. And then once it does, you're just kind of like, that's it. Like, this is what I'm reading. And so, like, it's readable. It's not like, ooh, I want to put this down. But to me, this is everything, like, I don't like about the thriller genre. Like, when people tell me they don't like thrillers, they're not interested in thrillers. When I read books like this, I totally get it. And the last book I read from them, An Anonymous Girl, it also fell into this, like, also thing I dislike about thriller, where you're just going around in circles, people are acting and being foolish, and then the book ends. That is what this book was. And so this is another book by them that's not for me. And I have a low tolerance for thriller authors. Look how mean I am to Riley Sager. I also don't read Megan Golden books anymore, and I'm putting this duo also and people I do not read anymore. Like, I just don't have time for the mess. And so it's just like, I'll read any thriller. So in order to cut down on the amount of thrillers that like I want to read, I just knock authors completely off my list. And so even though I like the one book by them a lot, The Wife Between Us is one of my favorite thrillers or suspense novels. But this, I just can't. This is their second book disappointing me. So let's move on. Let's move on to She Is a Haunting. This is a beautiful cover, but I hate the title of this book. She Is a Haunting. Why does something about that not sound right? She is a haunting. She is a haunting. Like, no, like, I don't like the title. Like, that's why I keep thinking it's She Is Haunting something, but like, or She Is Hunting, but it's She Is a Haunting. Yeah, I'm gonna read this book next, and let's hope it's better. Which I guess it doesn't matter, because The Woman in the Library was a 5-star. So if I've already, gotten something out of this video. But let's see if I like this book. Haven't really heard amazing things about this one, but it seems like a quick one. And yeah, I'm excited to get to it. So I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. I look dead. My voice is leaving. I went to the University of Alabama. I went to the Georgia-Alabama game. If you watch, you know it was crazy. I am headed home, and I'm going to finish these last 2 books. And yeah, I will see you guys when I get home. Peace. Hello, you guys. My camera is about to die any second, so let me try to get this out and get this out quickly. So I started To Tell You the Truth by Gilly Macmillan. This is my first Gilly Macmillan book. So in this book, we are following this woman who is a successful writer. She is a crime fiction writer. She has a crime fiction series. It's doing well, and they are expecting her next book. But she has decided to make her next book differently. She is going to incorporate things from her real life into this book. Well, she has a husband. Her husband is involved in all the business aspects of her career. And her husband kind of decides one day that they're going to move. They're going to move to a new house. They're about to get a huge advance for her next book. And so he's like, we should move. She doesn't want to move. She likes living in the city. She likes where they are. And he wants to move out to the country to be closer to this girl that he like who's a friend of his. And our wife, she's just like, I don't know about that. But we have 2 timelines going on. So that's like our current timeline. Our main character is older. She's a grown woman. We go to the past where her brother goes missing. It is the summer solstice, and she was going to like a festival or something, and she lost her brother. She came home one day and she didn't have her brother. Her mom's like, "Where's your brother?" And she's just like, "What? I don't know where my brother went." So something happened back in the day with her brother. She knows more than she's letting on. Our main character also has an imaginary friend who her books are based off of. There is someone who talks to her in her head, and that's who she bases her books off of. But something about this book that she's writing now, she's going to reveal something, reveal some secret, and that's pretty much what's going on in this. There's really nothing else. There's no way for me to string all this together. That is the plot. This book is a little silly, I'm not going to lie, and it's simply the voices in the head thing. When it comes to thrillers, I really don't like imaginary friends, things in my head, am I going crazy, amnesia, all of that stuff falls under this like category of like whimsy that I just simply do not enjoy. So I am enjoying other aspects. You guys know I love marriage drama. The marriage drama in here is working. I'm enjoying that, but I don't really like voices in heads, imaginary friends, like none of that really like works for me because it's just like a little silly. And also, I'm not a big fan of like children going missing in thrillers. I really don't like thrillers that involve children at all unless I'm reading a young adult thriller, and I rarely do that. So that's another thing that's also not really like, ooh, my brother's missing. What did I do when I was a kid? Because whatever you did when you were a kid, I'm not going to hold it against you. You were a kid. Like, it just has no stakes for me. When there's a kid storyline in books, I'm just like, this has zero stakes for me because whatever you did at 7 years old, I promise I forgive you. Like, you were a kid. So I don't know. There's a lot of things going on. It's definitely readable. Like, it's definitely something that you kind of want to know what's going to happen, but I wouldn't just say I'm in love with it at all. So I'm going to keep reading and I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this one. It's a really short one. I didn't realize until I got into this book how short this book is. It's not going to take me much longer. But yeah, I'm going to go work out and then I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. I have finished reading To Tell You the Truth by Gilly Macmillan. I am going to be so brutally honest. This might be one of the worst thrillers I have ever read in my life. It's not bad because of the plot twist. It's not bad because of the characters. It's not bad because of the setting. It's not bad because of the tropes. It's the worst kind of bad. It's bad just because it is. It's just not good. It's just from top to bottom, just not good. There is this like alter ego, imaginary friend type character in this book that is so damn silly. Like, so silly. There's no way this book could be written for adults, and nowhere in here feels like a story. It just feels like a collection of moments. Nothing has any depth whatsoever. The marriage between these two people doesn't feel real at all. The whodunit is stupid, just in case you cared. The whodunit is stupid, but I'm not even sure what I'm trying to figure out what they done did. Like, I didn't even, like, I was so, like, I didn't even know what mystery we was trying to solve. Like, what is going on? The stuff about her past became so just something you didn't even care about. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. As you're reading it, there's no way you can care about what's going on in the past storyline. It's just like, what? But even if you were interested in it, that doesn't really come to any real good conclusion. It's just all extremely silly and poorly done. So I'm giving this book 1 out of 5 stars. I did not expect that. Do you guys remember at the beginning of the year, I made a rule for myself that if I give more than 1 book less than 2 stars, the vlog ends. Like, I don't want to just have a vlog that is just so full of negativity. I am considering doing that because we just got 2 back-to-back not good thrillers. And so I don't know if I want to read She Is a Haunting. The only reason why I would is because this book will not take that long. Like, the words are pretty big on the page. It just wouldn't be that long of a book. And this is the book, like, I've been wanting to read. So I'm just like, I should just do it. I should just go ahead and do it. And so I am. So I am going to go ahead and do it. I guess I will come back and talk with you guys once I have some thoughts, if I have some thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this is a rough vlog. Like, I know you ain't even got to tell me. This is a rough one. This is a doozy. But yeah, that is what I am going to do. I will see you guys a little bit later. Hello, you guys. If I'm sitting here, you know it means I am coming to wrap this video up. But I am coming to wrap this video up with a last book. I finished She Is a Haunting by Train Ton Train. And this book, the reason why I didn't come and give any like initial thoughts, middle of the way thoughts, is that this book altogether is what I expected it to be, and that is honestly boring. So let me tell you what this book is about. In this book, we are following a Vietnamese American girl. Her name is Lily, and she is headed over to Vietnam, where her father was born, and you know, all of her family was born. And she has a very, you know, messed up relationship with her father. Her father goes back and forth between Vietnam and America, and she just don't like the man. She feels like the man has abandoned her and her family, but her father makes a deal with her that if she goes over to Vietnam and spends time in Vietnam with him and them as a family, she will be able to get the money to go off to college. She does not want to have to take a gap year, so she's like, sure, all I gotta do is spend like a couple months in Vietnam and I can leave. I'm gonna do it. So she heads over to Vietnam with her sister. Well, she has a task while she is in Vietnam, and that task is to redo or really make a website for a house that her father is going to try to turn into like a hotel, bed and breakfast type of thing. And he hooks her up with this girl who is going to help her do this website, because she's kind of like, you know, a whiz with all of that. So as she is looking into this house with the person who was helping her, she quickly realizes this place is haunted, and she is being visited in her dreams by all types of things. And she's like, something about this house is not right, and she wants to get to the root of it. And that is pretty much what She Is a Haunting is about. This book does have some good elements. Like, I'm not about to just be like, this book is complete trash, throw it away. I think the setup is really, really good. It gets into the story rather quickly. Like, you spend a couple pages with the setup and you are already in it. And I think this book is trying to do something interesting. And you know what? I read so many books. There are many books that I read that I don't think are actually trying to do anything. I think they're phoning it in. So I do think this book was at least trying to attempt something. It was trying to talk about French colonization of Vietnam. It was trying to talk about ancestral trauma. It was trying to talk about the bonds you have with your immediate family, father-daughter relationships. And then it was trying to talk about how it is to be a queer person in a community that does not see any pride in being queer, who wants to silence you. All of that was there. All the pieces were there. But nobody wanted to put the puzzle together. We had all the pieces spread out, but nobody wanted to work on the puzzle. And that is what this book is. Like, none of it actually comes together, in my opinion, to make a coherent story. And so, like, you get all of this stuff and you're waiting. You're waiting for something. You're waiting for something that never really comes. At times it gets a little bit like, oh, what's going on there? But like, I do think also this book being young adult brings it down a little bit, because in a young adult book, the characters have to be a little like childish. That is just a thing about adults writing young characters. They make them out to be like overly childish. I think sometimes when it's not well done, as someone who reads young adult, like sometimes people who are not as skilled in it make the characters just a little bit melodramatic to the point of annoyance. And that was the main character in here. And another thing why I think this book, being young adult, didn't do it well. This book has some really good quotes in it. But it's quotes that shouldn't be in this book. Like, all of a sudden, this author will give you such an elegant sentence, such such an eloquent sentence, and then all of a sudden you go back into the brain of a 17-year-old and she has nothing interesting to say. It's just like, so it's just a little bit disjointed in there as well. So overall, I'm going 2.75. I'm going 2.75. I'm not getting rid of this book because this cover, like sometimes you got to keep it for the cover. Sometimes you got to keep it for the cover. And I do think maybe for a younger person, they could find this more interesting. And also, another thing, I'm not big on horror. I am not big on horror. I find horror to be cheesy sometimes. This book did not evade that. So but you never know. You never know. One day I might have a kid and they're just like, this looks interesting, Ma. And I'll be like, read it, you know? Who knows? So that's the end of this video. This video was a dud. This video was a dud. Like we got one winner. We got one winner, and it is The Woman in the Library. I really like this book. I really think you're going to see this book show up in my best of the year. I enjoyed my reading experience. There is just something to be said about a book that's just so damn entertaining. And that's what this book was. This book also had, like, you guys know, I love a good murder mystery. I love the feeling of a murder mystery where we're falling into the tropes of old and, you know, trying to figure stuff out. I just love a murder mystery. And that's what this was, and it was done so well, and I enjoyed it. I'm sorry, 5 out of 5 stars here. One of the worst books I've ever read. I'm going to be so honest with you. It's not, like I told you in the clip for this, it's not even like I can necessarily pinpoint exactly, like usually when I'm talking about a book I don't like, it's like the writing sucks, this sucks, this. This author writes perfectly well. You can understand the plot. It's just like, what the hell? I don't see how this made it to print. I don't see how this book made it to print because it's just like nothing in here is interesting. Nothing comes together. And then the interesting part of the book doesn't get resolved. Like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. You are not alone. This is one of those thrillers that maybe I'm just not in the mood for, or it's just not a Kenya thriller. I do think other people could find this book a little bit more entertaining than me, but I don't really like thrillers with people from like different, who have no real thing connecting them. Does that make sense? Where like there's like, you just have a cast of like people and there's nothing really bonding them together, and at any moment they can just stop hanging out and the book would just be resolved. It's like you just got away from one another. This could stop. That's what this book was. I'm just like, what is this? And you have to understand, I'm a domestic thriller girly. So like adventure thrillers, that would be what, like, I don't know how you describe this type of thriller where it's just a person who is in a precarious situation and, you know, things happen. That's what this thriller is, and that's not really my type of thriller. I like people to be connected and like interwoven, you know? I'm not a really strangers to death type of thriller is not really my thing. Anyways, that is the end of this one though. I will see you guys in October. It is my birthday month. We're trying to get 5 stars throughout the month. I will see you guys then. Peace.